Well, it's an important week not only for the Treasury but also for the taxman. The section of Her Majesty's Revenue and Customs which combats tax evasion is getting some new money for the job. An influential committee of MPs will report tomorrow on tax avoidance by major companies, and they're likely to be highly critical. Well, one of those companies, Starbucks, has now agreed to review its tax arrangements and is talking to the Revenue about that. The chain faced a huge public backlash after revelations that it had paid no corporation tax in the UK for the last 3 years, using legal but highly controversial accounting methods to lower its liability. Starbucks said today it needed to do more on the tax issue. Well, we asked Starbucks to talk to us, but they declined. But joining me now in the studio is Anna Walker, a spokesperson for UK Uncut, a group that protests against tax avoidance in the UK. Now, Starbucks, I think I'm right in saying, employs 6,500 people in the UK. So if they're paying more tax, their costs are going up, that might have consequences for those people.
Well, what we've heard from Starbucks today is a clear admission of guilt that it has been avoiding tax over many years now.
Well, Starbucks isn't here to defend itself, but I mean, they say they're playing by the rules. But what about those people they employ? If they lay off people, is that what you wanted?
Well, I don't think that Starbucks is planning on laying off people. What it said that it's going to do in its statement is look into paying tax in the UK, as it should have been for several years while it's been making money in the UK. But Starbucks can't pick and choose when or if or how much tax it wants to pay. That's the government's job, to force companies like Starbucks to pay the tax that they owe.
But Starbucks says it's not making enough profits in the UK. If it has to close branches as a result of this, would you be happy with that? Would you have got what you wanted?
No, not at all. Starbucks has said that they aren't making any profits in the UK. They've only had one profitable year since they started here. And yet their business has been expanding. We've seen their coffee shops on every high street across the UK. They've at the same time been telling their shareholders that this is a brilliant business model.
Well, where do you draw the line on this? I mean, is it, for example, morally wrong to have an ISA and minimise your tax in that way?
What we're saying is that the government is making a clear political choice to cut benefits, like we've just heard, to privatise the NHS, rather than to go after the tax avoiders of big business, which would get in £25 billion a year.
What about that point on the ISA, though? I mean, do you have an ISA? Is that morally wrong?
I think that what we're looking at is the tax avoidance of big business and incredibly rich individuals. The government is going after single mothers, disabled people, instead of going after these incredibly rich people and also big businesses like Starbucks, like Amazon, who aren't paying tax in the UK when they should be.
Anna Walker, thank you very much for joining me.